Unchain my heart, baby, let me be. 'Cause you don't care, set me free. Unchain my heart, baby, let me go. Unchain my heart, 'cause you don't love me no more. You got me sewed up like a pillowcase. You let my poor heart go to waste. Unchain my heart, baby, set me free. Unchain my heart, baby, let me be. Unchain my heart, 'cause you don't worry about me. When I call you on the phone, some fella says you are not at home. Unchain my heart, baby, set me free.
Hey, how you doing? Good morning. You're on Bob's Blues, and the news coming to you directly from Atlanta, Georgia, off the cuff. Just giving you my 4 cents, 5 cents, or 3 cents. I don't know how much pennies you got in your pocket, but throw them my way. Hey, you can look me up on Spotify, on what all those streaming platforms, Bob Jeter or Jeter in the Jets. Yeah, I'm trying to fly music out there, trying to get this podcast out there, trying to make things happen. And we live in such an interesting world, man. I mean, things are just spinning all around you all the time. I mean, if you follow the news like I do, it gets a little frustrating at times, but interesting at the same time. I mean, we live in a very dangerous world, but also a very exciting world, So you can't have the excitement without a little danger, Just make sure you're on the right side of history. That's all I say. And that's a shame that a lot of people, maybe half the planet, is not on the right side of history. Now, either on the right side or the wrong side. I mean, it's gotten to that point where, the lines have been drawn in the sand, more or less, unfortunately, because I like to get along with everybody. I don't care if you're a Democrat, socialist, capitalist, whatever. Why can't we all just live together and be hunky-dory, kumbaya, right? We all need love and all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way in reality, because there's a certain thing called evil, let's face it, and it's out there. And some people don't see it. There are some organizations, some ideologies, some philosophies that lead to evil. And basically it's because you've cut yourself off from your traditions. I mean, your ancient traditions, your belief in a higher authority. And you believe more and more that it's really up to man to do everything, and that man is really a god unto himself, and that he can shape the world and everything around him however he chooses, basically. He's totally in control. And they refuse to see the cosmic levels of things. They refuse to see universal truths. They refuse to see history. They don't really study history very well as well. Because anybody who studies histories sees the same things happening over and over again. History does repeat. It just, the song is rhymed differently every time, but it's the same same song. It's basically, we start off maybe in the dumps, down and out, and we build ourselves up through whatever, through prosperity, through science, through ingenuity, through working very hard, and as a people or as individually, and society grows and becomes prosperous. And then once we reach a certain plateau, they become lazy and they start doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. It's in the Bible. Yeah, I believe in the Bible. You can see it. As long as you are trying to be righteous and trying to do the right thing spiritually as well as physically, things will go more or less okay. But as soon as you get a big head and think you can control everything and that you don't need the higher authority, you don't need the traditions, then things go downhill after that. And we see that play over and over and over and over again. So today, we're living out that same scenario. The United States was very prosperous, especially after the Second World War. We were the king of the hill. We could do no wrong. The 50s was like living, if you lived in the United States in the 50s, it was like, I mean, we were still struggling a little bit to pay off the war debt, but still people were living very comfortably, you know? Most people were working in a fairly stable job. They could all afford home. We had the GI Bill for the people coming out of the military, and people became prosperous, and it was very, very cozy, very comfortable time to live in the United States. And then the 60s came, and then you had sort of sense of revolution. One thing, you had the Vietnam War, which a lot of people saw as a bad war. I won't get into that, but we could have won the war, in my humble opinion, if there wasn't much politics behind it. Whether we should have gotten into it in the beginning is another question to ask and to research. But once you're in a war, whether you think it's a good war or not, you have to give your total support to the troops and to your country. And we didn't really do it. And that was Vietnam War. And the same thing is happening today. Not everybody's giving Trump the support he needs to fight in Iran. Even, look, NATO just slapped him in the face. I mean, remember the Marshall Plan. We saved Europe. Europe would have been defeated totally by Hitler and the Nazis if it wasn't for the United States coming in when it did. And then we helped build Europe after that with the Marshall Plan. They owe us so much, but yet, because Europe has gone to the left, not that everybody on the left is bad, I'm just saying, but the tendencies, once you go to left, you get more and more left, and you get more and more woke, more and more socialist, communist, and all those philosophies and way of thinking tends to make you weak. But one thing, you play the victim card all the time. So you work less. You feel like, well, why should I work so hard? I'm owed. I should be gifted these things because I've been a victim for so long. You know what I mean? So give me. It's not what John Kennedy said back in the day. Think not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And that whole attitude is lost in Europe. I know I lived in France for a long time. I lived in London for a while back in the day, and I saw it coming. I mean, in the 70s or so, capitalism was still a part of European culture. But more and more, it slid down this hill toward socialism, communism, and wokeness. And then they started letting in all the immigrants. I guess I'm maybe feeling sorry because of colonialism. I know the French let in a lot of Algerians because of the Algerian War. They felt bad about that. So they let in a lot of Algerians, let in a lot of Arabs from these Arab countries who were in the past under colonialism. So they had this white guilt. And this white guilt, this white empathy for the so-called downtrodden is now slitting their throats, literally, because they let in, I can understand letting in some of these people, but to let in anybody, no matter what their ideology is, no matter what their philosophy is, no matter how they feel about the country they're coming into, how they feel about this country, whether it's Europe whether it's England or France or any other country in Europe. I mean, most people come in and they take advantage. I think the first generation that came in maybe in the 70s and the 80s, those people appreciated Europe and what Europe could offer. But their sons, their grandchildren, they started taking up all this ideology from the jihadist, from the Islamist, and from the communists. It's like this red-green revolution that's going on between the two forces at play here. And it's ruining Europe. And now you see where Europe doesn't even support the United States in their war. and they're slapping the United States in the face. Oh, we're not going to worry about the Strait of Hormuz. I said it right? Hormuz? Yeah, the Strait of Hormuz. And Trump said, well, fine. We don't really need you anyway, but man, what a slap in the face, right? So maybe he says this morning, I saw him mention, so maybe we'll just leave the Strait of Hormuz to the Europeans. We don't really need it. I'll just finish off Iran, get rid of the bad guys, the mullahs, the IRGC, and the Iranian regime. Get rid of those, let the people take over and start a new government, a more friendly government to the United States, more friendly government to Israel. And, the Europeans can suffer because of the strait. I don't know what he's going to do, but it's a shame we got to that point. And then we have the Democrats here who, they don't want to fund DHS, Department of Homeland Security. So you have all these TSA agents quitting because they're not getting paid. The Coast Guard is not getting paid. A lot of these people who you need for security are not getting paid. So our defenses are down when everything else is heightening. The danger is heightening. The warnings are heightening, getting stronger, that we're going to be attacked on our homeland by all these cells of nefarious players, Islamist, communist, whatever. And we've already had attacks. So it's a shame we've got to be split like this. But maybe it's in God's plan. I mean, if you believe in the divine agenda, maybe we're coming to a time where all these differences will disappear and we'll all come together as one. That's ideal, right? You're talking about utopia. You're talking about the end of days. You're talking about the redemption. Well, I don't know if that's so far-fetched or not, but it would be nice to think that way anyway, to think positive about how we can bring people back together. How can we get rid of this division that's so severe in our culture and globally? I don't know. If you have any answers, let me know, man. Hit me up. You can look me up on my website, Bob Jeter, or email me, bob@bobjeter.com. Any way you can do it, reach out. And I might start a WhatsApp group too. But whatever, I'm just out throwing out my ideas for what it's worth. But we live in interesting times. And with that, I'll just go on out with a little Unchain My Heart, baby, because the cover I did, I really like the tune. So I'll play it on the way out. Love and peace is the answer, but hate is the enemy. Only if you hate the haters. That's a different